I know this gonna sound harsh, people, but Will Ospreay is pathetic. Now, some of y'all might say, why are you saying that about Will Ospreay? Because he allowing a guy that's lesser than him, and we talking wrestling. We not talking about anything outside of wrestling. It's just specifically wrestling talk. He's letting a guy that's lesser than him dictate his future, his current, and his storyline, people. Will Ospreay decided to agree to take a clean loss on pay-per-view to Jon Moxley, people. Jon Moxley, a guy who is basically Cactus Jack in 2026. And what do I mean by that? He's a glorified mid-carder stunt double. That's all he is. That's all I see him as. He's just a guy. But because he was in WWE, he got the boost from Tony Khan to be like a superstar. But he's not that. He's not. Will Ospreay, it was a superstar. He had everything going for him. He was new to the scene. He didn't have any priors. Will Ospreay wasn't, he didn't have past history with any other big promotion. And I'm not talking about like New Japan. I mean like in the States. He had no prior ties to WWE, any of that. He was fresh on the scene, a fresh face. He could talk. He got the move set. He knows how to call a match. And yet, he decided to allow Jon Moxley to politic him into this terrible storyline. To where he had a match versus Jon Moxley one-on-one for the title. And he decided to agree. And you know it was Jon Moxley's idea. But Will Ospreay is such a good guy, soft, that he decided that he was going to agree to the match. He agreed to take a loss, a clean loss to Jon Moxley, people. This isn't some uber talented wrestler, somebody that you will have difficulty beating. Like, this is Jon Moxley, a glorified stuntman. Will Ospreay lost to this guy clean with no interference, clean in the middle of the ring. And now the storyline they're telling, after Will Ospreay just won a match, he gets quote unquote abducted, and in the back they put him in a chair in front of Jon Moxley, like Jon Moxley is this high powered guy, and ask him, gives him he little boys Jon Moxley basically little boys Will Ospreay. Here, if you want to break my neck, do it. I'm going to lay right here. Or if you don't want to, I want to turn you into a monster. All this bull crap. Like, Jon Moxley is just this big, he's this big thing, and he's not. Like, they trying to make him that, and it's infuriating to me because a guy like Will Ospreay doesn't need to be in a storyline like this. This is a storyline for a guy that's mid-card, that needs to push. Will Ospreay versus Jon Moxley should have went just like this. Will Ospreay whooped his for the title, won it, and then took out everybody or it started with him beating everybody in the whatever Jon Moxley group is called. I don't even like saying the name of it. He should have beat everybody in the group and then beat Moxley for the title at the pay-per-view, and then it should have been over with. But because he's a nice guy, because he doesn't have that cutthroat mentality that people that come from WWE have, he allowed himself to agree to this terrible storyline where Jon Moxley is trying to turn him into a monster and make him this bad guy, and he didn't need this. He didn't need this storyline. Newsflash, people, nobody that worked with Jon Moxley gets over. This storyline does nothing for Will Ospreay. Literally. This storyline helps Jon Moxley more than anything, because he already got a win over Will Ospreay clean. So basically the story you're telling is he beat Will Ospreay clean. Will Ospreay couldn't beat him clean with no interference. So now you want to unleash something in him. Like, that wasn't already done before. Like, if Jon Moxley was really about helping the business, because this storyline only helps him. If Jon Moxley was really serious about helping the business, he would have dropped that title and lost to Will Ospreay at the pay-per-view. But he's about preserving himself. So you know what he did? He beat Will Ospreay, and he knew Will Ospreay was going to agree to it because he knows that in his eye, in Will Ospreay's eyes, Jon Moxley has seniority. He's a quote-unquote OG in the game. He came from WWE, so it gives him that extra boost in people's eyes. Will Ospreay just don't have what it takes to be the top guy because he doesn't have the cutthroat mentality that it takes to stay on top. Because he keeps getting Will Ospreay keeps getting sidetracked and distracted by these terrible storylines instead of turning it down. It does nothing for him. He's better than Jon Moxley in every facet of the game when it comes to wrestling. But he allowed himself to get duped into doing this terrible storyline, and it helps Jon Moxley. It doesn't help him at all. It never was going to help him. Jon Moxley knew that. Will Ospreay thinks he can do it. He can help everybody and put over everybody. When in reality, the fans going to stop giving a bleep about you because you keep losing. Why should we be interested in Jon Moxley versus Will Ospreay anymore when Will Ospreay lost clean to Jon Moxley? What do we care if he beat him anymore for? He just proved, a heel just proved that he can beat the top babyface one-on-one with no interaction, no distractions. And then Jon Moxley helped save Will Ospreay from the Don Callis family. So not only are you a heel, but you go against another heel group to help the babyface that you just beat clean because you want him to be a part of your group, which leaves the Don Callis family in a cruddy position because now they are going to be used as jobbers against potentially Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley's group. It's just terrible booking, man. But the booking is centered around Jon Moxley. It only helps him. And Will Ospreay is too much of a weenie to realize that. He's too much of a weenie to understand, hey, this storyline is going nowhere. It's a pointless storyline because you lost to him. Why do I care to see another match? If you couldn't beat the heel, you couldn't beat him. It was no interference, and he beat you clean. So why do I care to see you fight him again? It's no point. There's literally no point to this storyline, people, other than Jon Moxley's idea. You can tell this is a Jon Moxley idea. This isn't a Will Ospreay idea because he don't need Jon Moxley. He should be the top guy right now in AEW, and he's not because he keeps getting sidetracked by these moronic storylines that help everybody but himself. Where's the aura to Will Ospreay when he comes out now? We just seen him lose clean to Mark Davis. Where's the excitement for him now? We seeing you lose way too much, man. Way too much. And we seeing you lose to people you shouldn't even be losing to. Jon Moxley versus Will Ospreay? Come on, man. Are we serious here? But hey, if you don't feel you the best in the world, of course you gonna. He clearly don't think he the best in the world because if he did, he wouldn't have took that clean loss to Jon Moxley. But Jon Moxley has a record of over 100 wins in singles matches in AEW. He has beaten everybody in singles matches in AEW, and it has done nothing for nobody but itself. You don't get over wrestling Jon Moxley. You just add another notch to his belt, helping his legacy. Because when his contract is up, and it's not too long before his contract is up, he'll have on his resume literally every name in AEW that he's beaten. And he's pretty much beaten the whole roster, people. He has pretty much beaten the whole roster. Now look at Jon Moxley and tell me if you think that's a guy capable or should be in position to beat an entire roster. He's not. There's nothing special about him. But Will Ospreay, it is. Unfortunately, he allowed politics to play a position in his position. Now look at him. Being a little boy like a mid-carder looking up to a giant, and it's just not the case.